Our top story, things are getting back to normal tonight in Loves Park after a bomb scare at a local pub shuts down traffic and forces dozens to evacuate. The latest on the investigation coming up. Then some prisons in Illinois are changing the way they feed inmates. Coming up, why some say it will improve safety. And later, it's something for chocolate lovers to chew on. Prices for our sweet treats may soon be going up. We'll tell you why.
On the air, you're watching the next generation of news. The 23 News Update at 10 starts now.
Good evening and welcome to 23 News Update at 10. I'm Mike Garrigan. Whitney Martin is off tonight. Our top story, investigators have given the all clear, allowing dozens of Loves Park residents to return to their homes, but not before local police and hazmat teams search for what they called a suspicious package inside Hope and Anchor Pub on North 2nd Street. 23 News reporter Shannon Smith has more on who police spoke to and why that person was not welcome at the pub.
We saw officers and fire department personnel were calling, beckoning to us to move quicker, come.
What started as a normal day at work for Patricia Boyles quickly turned into a chaotic one. She was forced to evacuate her building on North 2nd Street, right next door to Hope and Anchor Pub. That's where police sent in a bomb squad to look for a suspicious package after officers arrested 37-year-old Tovio Giuliano nearby for an unrelated incident.
During the arrest, people from Hope and Anchor came over and advised the officers that, hey, we know this guy, that he was suspiciously over at Hope and Anchor earlier.
Loves Park Police Chief Jim Puckett wouldn't say how Giuliano got into the bar. However, officers say he was a regular customer who was known to cause trouble. So much so, Puckett says the owner got a restraining order to keep him away. However, it recently expired.
It's kind of scary.
Neighbors say they've been worried about businesses and people in the area.
Around here lately, it's been kind of crazy. Never seems to be endless. Lots of actions.
Fortunately, this time, investigators didn't find anything dangerous. Giuliano is being held in the Winnebago County Jail. He's charged with resisting arrest and criminal trespassing.
A lot of police there right during the afternoon commute as well, so it caused a traffic headache. But why did police think there may have been a suspicious package in the pub?
Well, actually, police wouldn't really say, but employees told me off camera, they didn't want to go on camera, that they saw Giuliano around Hope and Anchor with something in his hand. And so once he was arrested later down the street, that prompted investigators to then search the pub just to be sure. And luckily, they didn't find anything.
The better safe than sorry mode at that point.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, Shannon. In other news, an update tonight on the death investigation in Polo. It turns out the couple died in an apparent murder-suicide. The Polo police chief says 73-year-old Marcelin Jones and 76-year-old Paul Busser Jr. were found dead inside this home yesterday afternoon on West North Street. Investigators say Busser entered Jones' home, shot her, and then hung himself and shot himself. The incident remains under investigation pending autopsy results. A DeKalb County highway more resembled the German Autobahn this afternoon after a Rockford woman gets pulled over for allegedly reaching triple digits. It happened shortly before 5 on Highway 64 westbound near Schaefer Road. DeKalb County deputies saw a tan SUV passing a semi-truck at a very high rate of speed. The driver, 57-year-old Susan McCulloch, was clocked going 108 miles per hour in a 55-mile-per-hour zone. No one was hurt, and McCulloch was released on the scene with a no-cash bond. Janesville police are on the lookout tonight for a man who held up a State Line pharmacy. Take a good look at these surveillance photos. Police say around 5:30 this morning, this guy walked into the Walgreens on Milton Avenue with a camouflage bandana on his face. He went up to the counter, implied he had a gun, and demanded prescription drugs. He got away with an unknown amount of pills. No one was hurt. If you have any information, you're asked to call police or Janesville area Crime Stoppers. We are learning more about the gunman who killed 12 people at the Washington Navy Yard and about his victims. Investigators are trying to find out why a civilian contractor walked into a military base in the nation's capital and opened fire. CBS News reporter Tara Mergener is in Washington with the latest on that and on the families whose lives are forever changed.
A day after the mass shooting at the Washington Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. is still in shock. Tonight, authorities are still trying to figure out how it happened and why. 20 minutes after the first gunshots went off inside the Washington Navy Yard, D.C.'s fire dispatch radio crackled with bad news.
We got a report on the 4th floor, a male with a shotgun, multiple shots fired, multiple people down.
In all, 13 people died, including the gunman, 34-year-old Aaron Alexis. A former Navy reservist, Alexis was a civilian contractor who just began working at the Navy Yard. Records show he bought a shotgun Saturday at this Virginia gun store. Investigators say he drove this car to the base with the gun in a bag. He used his security card to enter the building and began shooting. Alexis's family says he battled mental illness. Last month, he called Newport, Rhode Island police to say he was hearing voices and that people were stalking him and using a microwave to send vibrations into his body. While law enforcement are learning more about the gunman, families of the victims are telling their stories about their loved ones. Richard Rigel was a former state trooper and a security analyst who served in Iraq.
I want him to be known as a dad above a victim of a shooting, because he was a great dad for all of us.
Rigel's family says they don't understand how he could survive 3 years in Baghdad only to lose his life at a military base here at home. And in honor of the victims, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel and other military officials laid a wreath at the lone sailor statue, honoring all those who have served or who will serve the U.S. Navy. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener. Back to you.
3 of those shot during the attack are still in the hospital. In a few minutes, how one local city may be turning gaming revenue into better avenues. But first, meteorologist Brian Dukes joins us from the 23 Storm Team Weather Lab. And it's been cloudy and it's been kind of rainy all night. Is that a sign of things to come?
Unfortunately, it is. Haven't picked up a whole lot of rain, some sprinkles, enough to get the ground wet, but that's actually moving out for the time being. You can see what's left of the rain is now working off to the east, about to head into Lake Michigan. We're in a break now, but off to the west, we will be watching for more development as you head into eastern portions of Iowa. And I think as we head into tomorrow morning, we'll start to see some more rain working into the area. Let's track things hour by hour tomorrow morning. 58 as we start things off at 6 a.m., the same at 7, and rain chances really stick with us all morning long. Do think we see a break as we head into the afternoon before another round of rain both Thursday and Friday. We'll detail all of that in a very nice weekend, all coming up in a few minutes. Mike?
Thank you, Brian. Nearly a year after video gaming machines went live in the state line, local municipalities are raking in revenue. Some residents have ideas about what government should do with that extra money.
The roads are just tore up. They're rough. They haven't been maintained properly.
Fixing roads is one suggestion. The city of Loves Park has received nearly $200,000 from gaming machines, which goes into the general fund. That fund is used for all kinds of expenses like road improvements and job creation. In Rockford, the city is using the extra money to pay for equipment like ambulances and fire trucks. 2 state prisons in Illinois are changing the way they feed inmates. They'll be serving less meals but offer bigger portions.
You know, we barely eat the food as it is. So having a larger portion, it may not be beneficial.
Since January, 2 state prisons and work camps have cut out breakfast and lunch. They only now serve brunch and dinner. Soon more than a dozen may follow suit. Under the current system, minimum security prisons might serve breakfast as early as 4 a.m., forcing guards to monitor inmates in the dark morning hours. The change may make for a safer environment for guards and other prison staff.
The prisons are severely understaffed, and security is a problem. And when you have inmates moving from their housing units to the dining hall less often, the result is increased security.
The DOC says meals will still contain the same number of calories, and it will still be up to inmates to pick and choose what they eat off their plates. In politics, the race for Illinois treasurer is getting a bit more crowded. House Republican leader Tom Cross is expected to announce his campaign tomorrow. He'll face off with DuPage County Auditor Bob Grogan, who's also seeking the GOP nomination. Democratic State Senator Mike Frerichs is also running for treasurer. And gubernatorial candidate Bill Brady now has a running mate. She's former suburban Chicago Mayor Maria Rodriguez. The GOP duo made their first public appearance today. Rodriguez served 2 terms as mayor of Long Grove before unsuccessfully running for Congress in 2010. So far, 3 out of the 4 Republican primary candidates in the governor's race have named their lieutenant governor. Businessman Bruce Rauner is the only one without a running mate. A measure aimed at tightening Wisconsin's lemon law is now on Governor Scott Walker's desk. The Senate passed the bill today. The measure means drivers won't be able to sue for double damages, and it shortens the amount of time to file a lawsuit after purchasing a faulty car. It goes from 3 years to from 6 years to 3 years now. The bill is backed by the state's largest business lobbying group, but others say the changes weaken the law, hurting consumers. Still to come on 23 News Update at 10, the Better Business Bureau is warning us about a scam that's on the rise. We'll tell you what you need to know coming up. Plus, if you dig chocolate, you may have to dig deeper in your wallet to satisfy those cravings. I'll tell you why right after the break.